Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Darian, aka LOL Not Darian on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and comment down below if you have ever had a similar situation in corporate America, because we are doing another story time about my very first experience ever in corporate America. Let's get on into it. If I cut this video off, I'm not gonna cut it off, but like if you see me in another clip later on or on a different day, and my makeup a little bit different, I might be in a different shirt, I don't know, it's because Jaylee is literally on her way here right now. We just hung out, and so we're gonna continue hanging out, but I wanted to just get a head start on this video so that I don't just not film. So anyway, for everyone that might think that I don't have a good head on my shoulders because of the dating situations that I have been in, let me paint this picture for you of like a completely different side of me in corporate America and how I was able to get here. Summer 2019, I did not get into nursing school like I expected. Thankfully, I did not get into nursing school because the way that nursing hours are set up, I don't think I would have been able to hack it. I don't think I would have been able to do it. 12-hour shifts, nuts. Y'all are stronger than the fucking US Marines. I cannot do it. And so thankfully I did not get into nursing school, but unfortunately I also did not get into nursing school because I had to figure out something else to do. Fall 2019, I retook classes that I had made season that stopped me from being able to get into nursing school, because those two classes, A&P 1 and 2, I had to make B's in to be able to get into nursing school. And for some reason, my mom forced me to retake those classes. Not even because she wanted me to do nursing at that point. She just wanted me to prove to her that I could get B's in it. And I kept trying to tell her, like, I'm not good in sciences. I learned that trying to do nursing. I'm not good in science, and you're making me retake science classes to get a B in it. I'm not good in it. I'm trying to tell you. And she did not have, I don't want to say empathy. It's just, and maybe it is a bit of that. She didn't have the range to understand that just because something was easy for her, it doesn't mean that it was easy for me. Just because, one, I'm her daughter, just because, two, it was easy for her, you know? So like, because she was a nurse, and so because nursing school was easy for her and A&P was easy for her and she was able to make A's in it, she thought that it would be easy for me because I am a smart girl, and so I should be able to make A's as well in A&P, not understanding that we're two completely different people, and science is just one thing that does not click for me. I don't know what it is, but science is just that one thing that like I cannot make stick, baby. Okay, I can't do it. And I kept trying to tell her that, but she was not listening to me, right? So she made me retake the classes, and I ended up getting C's. Once again, I literally got the same exact grades that I got the first time. I got a 79.5, but my professor, or no, a 79.4, but my professor was the type of professor, she would not round up. And then the other class, I got a 78, and she would not round up. So I got a C in both of those classes, right? So my mom was like, okay, like I get it now. Like, you know, you say you're not good in science. I understand it now. You know, like maybe what was maybe what was easy for me wasn't easy for you, and I gotta accept that. And it's like, well, no shit, you could have learned that before you spent $2,000 on a fucking class. But anyway, I took a semester off to figure out what I wanted to do because my mom was paying for all of my school out of pocket. I didn't get any loans at all whatsoever. I only got a loan my last semester, and we'll get into that. But my mom was paying for all my schooling. She was like, I'm not just gonna pay for your schooling while you figure out what the fuck you need to do. You need to figure it out and then go, and then I'll pay for your schooling. And I was like, okay, cool. I was with SB at this time. If you guys don't know SB, go watch my Miami trip horror story. When I was talking about SB is my ex-boyfriend. I was with him for 3.5 years. His mom is an accountant, and so she was the one that like told me about accounting, and it never crossed my mind. Accounting, literally, as many career fields that crossed my mind at that time, accounting was never one of them. So when she told me about accounting, I was like, I'll look into it, because it was also a thing of like, I hadn't taken a math class since my junior year of high school. Swear to God. And so I was not really fond of the idea of having to take another math class, because I swore to myself, because I hated math. Even though I was good in math, I hated math. And so I swore to myself that I would never take another math class after I took my college algebra class junior year of high school, because that would satisfy my math credit that I needed in college. So I was like kind of on the fence about it, but I ended up doing it, right? So because I got all of my prerequisites from 2017 to 2020 or 2019, I was able to basically be on a route where I could finish my degree in 5 semesters. So basically almost like 2.5 years, but I decided that I was going to take the last semester during the summer instead of taking it during the fall, so that I could graduate in the summer and finally be done, instead of taking it in the winter and then like still have a whole another semester, you know? Did my classes and everything, and I was having to basically play catch up, right? And so for some reason, my advisor talked me into doing 4 classes each semester for my first 2 semesters that I was back, which meant that my next 2 semesters I had to take 6 courses, 6 classes. Yeah, as a senior. Yeah, to make sure that I could graduate on time, like on time that I wanted to graduate, right? I ended up I needed a job. I knew I needed a job, and I knew that I wanted a job on campus, because the thing was, I knew that I could not do an internship, because an internship would set me back timelines, because most people, they don't do school and internship. You either do school or an internship whenever internships come about. And I knew that I did not want to take a break off of school. And so to supplement the fact that I did not take an internship or do an internship, I would have to make my resume throughout college look phenomenal to whatever employer I was applying to, right? So I decided to be a tutor. So first I was a tutor for psychology. I did that for a year, and then they widened the field of what we were able to be tutors in. And so that's when I decided to be a tutor in accounting and do like the tutoring for the lower level classes of accounting, because at that point I was in the higher levels, right? And I also became a student grader at that time. So I really wanted to, like, my mom, she kept like bitching and moaning, complaining and whining. She kept bitching, moaning, complaining and whining that like I wasn't doing a job that would make me a lot of money, like HEB or some shit like that. And I kept telling her, like, number one, HEB would not bend to the type of hours that I'm able to work, because with me trying to hurry up and graduate, I was taking at one point 3 evening classes a week. Literally like Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, I think I had evening classes. And then the semester before that, I had a Thursday evening class. And so that meant that like I would wake up at 7 in the morning, go to class at 8 in the morning, get out at like 11, go to work on campus from 11 to like 1 or 11 to 2, and then go back to class for an hour and a half or for an hour or whatever, and then go back to work for another hour and a half until 4:30. And then I had to drive, because the evening classes weren't on our campus, on our main campus, unless it was a lab. I had to drive 45 minutes away to the secondary campus to take my evening classes. And I would not get home until like 10 at night. So it was like, the school understands that I have this type of schedule, and the school understands that students have this type of schedule, and they're willing to work with that. So I'm able to pick up hours when I can. If I was to work at HEB, I wouldn't have a fucking job, because if I can't work at least a 4-hour shift all the way through, they would not hire me. And you're not understanding that, number one. Number two, I'm literally having to play catch up. It doesn't matter how good my GPA is, because I graduated with, I think, like a 3.68 or something. It doesn't matter how good my GPA is, because everybody else's GPA who matters, their GPAs are just as good as mine, and then they also have internship on top of that. I don't have any type of relevant experience, so I can't waste the only type of work experience that I could put on my resume at HEB. And that's not saying that like HEB is a waste of time or anything. It's just, if I had an internship, I'd be able to work at HEB, but like I don't have any relevant work experience, so the least I could do is go be a tutor in my career field. The least I could do is go be a student grader in the department that I'm taking my classes in and everything, and network with professors and everything, because I don't have what everybody else has on their resume, and that's who I'm fighting against for a fucking job. I can't waste my time at fucking Walmart and then put on my resume Walmart. Nobody's gonna hire me. And that just is what it is, right? So I had to hunker down, and like, even though I wasn't like making that much, literally every month I would have to save up every single check I got from those jobs, pay my rent, and then still would have to use my credit cards to pay for my rent, because I literally just, I did not have it. At the same time, I knew, like, I had the vision in the long run. This is what I need to do to get to where I want to be. And look at me, I am literally where I want to be. So it's like, I envisioned it for myself, and I went for it for myself, and I fucking got it for myself. So even though my mom like wanted to get down on me and like, say like, oh, like you're not making enough money, blah, 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 it all worked out for the best, because I am exactly where I knew I was going to be. So anyway, I just wanted to go on that rant. But anyway, because of these jobs, not only because of these jobs, but then also I was very interactive in my classes. I would sit in the front row of every single class that I had, and I would always be asking questions, always be answering the professor's questions, always be staying after class to ask them about the homework and things. I was like creating a relationship with my professors. And not only that, can you get off of my work laptop, please? Not only that, but then also my professors are coming into to the office where the student graders are, and they're handing us their exams, and they see me and they're saying hi. And on top of that, the professors that had lower level accounting courses, that taught lower level accounting courses, they would hear from their students like, yeah, no, that's how I was able to go from a D in this class to a C in this class, because I've been going to Darian to get tutoring and everything, and she's been helping a lot. That's how I was able to make a fucking 75 on my last exam when I made a 45 on the first one. So like, my professors are hearing about me a lot, right? So when a scholarship came up for this, I'm not going to say the name of the scholarship. When this scholarship came up, the school apparently splits the scholarship each year. But anyway, either the finance department can choose a student, or the accounting department can choose a student from their school or from their department. And so it goes back and forth each year. And thankfully, my senior year, this happened to be the year that the accounting department was able to choose a student. And so my cost accounting professor came up to me, and he was like, hey, there's a scholarship. All of the professors honestly all recommended you. We're thinking about awarding you the scholarship. Are you like okay for that? Is that something you're up for? I just wanted to kind of give you a heads up. And I was like, absolutely, like absolutely, right? So he was like, okay, all right, I'll let you know if you get it, blah, blah, blah. Like, I just wanted to let you know, right? January 2022 comes up, and I literally am stressing the fuck out about money. Like, stress the fuck out, because I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this semester, this summer semester, because like I can pay for, my mom's gonna pay for the spring semester, but my mom called me, and like we had just got into a tiff or whatever, so it was like kind of awkward between us. But she was like, hey, I'm not going to be able to pay for your summer semester, so you need to figure the fuck out. Either you can do the fall semester, you can do the summer semester and pay for it yourself, but I'm not paying for it. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to pay for it, right? And I'm like stressed the fuck out, because I'm like, I'm already trying to pay for all this other shit, like keeping a roof over my head and everything else. Like, how am I going to pay for this summer semester that I know I want to take, because I know that I need to be done by the time this fall comes? So I'm stressed out, right? I go to sleep, and I wake up the next morning for class and everything, and I get an email. And the email says that I've been awarded a $5,000 scholarship. Mind you, the classes for the summer semester are $6,000. So I got a $5,000 scholarship from the scholarship that my professor told me about, and I literally just like bawled my eyes out. Y'all don't know how much, like, God comes through for me a lot. like a lot. And so y'all don't know how much that meant to me to wake up and see that I was awarded a scholarship when literally the night before, like when I swear to God, the night before I cried myself to sleep because I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna make it work. I don't know how I'm gonna make it work. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know like how I'm gonna be able to do this summer semester. And I prayed to God and I was like, please help me figure it out. Please help me figure out how I'm gonna pay for this semester. Like, please help me. I am begging you to please help me figure out this semester, right? I go to bed, wake up, and it says that I've been awarded a $5,000 scholarship. And I literally am just like bawling my eyes out while I'm getting ready for class that morning because I'm just like, I cannot believe it, right? So one of the stipulations about the scholarship was that we had to do a networking event. So the networking event was like an all-day event. I would have to miss class. We would go downtown, or I would have to drive myself all the way downtown, and it was like an event where they would invite like banking executives as well as accounting partners, like audit partners, tax partners, things like that, to the event, and they would come and talk to all of like the scholarship awardees or whatever, and basically just like get to know us and everything, and we get to network with them. And like it was mandatory. I even remember one time during the event we took a picture, and like we were kind of like not really smiling because we just like kind of did not want to be there, I'm not gonna lie. And the guy was like, smile if you want your scholarship money. And we were like, because we were like, damn, you're not gonna take our money away, you're not gonna take my $5,000 away. So we, you know, did that whole thing, right? And I remember one thing about me is I have really, really, really bad social anxiety. When we had to like network and everything, I saw my cost accounting professor, and I literally wanted to like bawl my eyes out because I remember he had to leave at some point and I had to be by myself again. And it was during the time where we had to network with like all of the executives and the partners and everything of the firms, and I was shitting bricks. I could not do it. I remember I was like pacing back and forth between the hall where everybody was in, where they were like going to serve us dinner for the night, and the place where they had us like doing the seminars and shit, because I was panicking, right? And so the president of the organization that was giving me the scholarship, he saw me and he was like, are you okay? Like, you know, why are you like not in there talking to people? And I feel like older people, they don't really understand like the whole thing of social anxiety and shit. So I just told him like, I'm shy. And he was like, you're shy. Okay. And so he came in with me and he introduced me to one of his pals or whatever that was a banking executive. And that was when I like, you know, started talking to him, and like I felt a little bit more loose. And while we were talking, another man came up, and we're gonna call this man Teddy. Teddy came up. He's this white, bald-headed man, maybe about like 6'2", and I just remember he had these like little bitty ass pointed feet, but he was like big, like buff, right? But you could tell he was like, he worked out his entire life, and then he got into dad mode, and a lot of like fat built up on top of that muscle. That's what he looked like, right? So we'll call him Teddy. Teddy came up to me and he was like, oh, are you from Sam Houston? I was like, yeah. And he was like, I'm Sam Houston alumni. I'm Teddy. I work with Animal Farm. That's what we'll call the accounting firm that I worked with. I worked with Animal Farm, and I'm a partner there, and I would like to give you an interview. I always come to these events to look out fellow Sam Houston alumni and offer them jobs or whatever. Would you be interested in an interview? And I'm like, hell fucking yeah, you know, like absolutely, because I'm already like fighting for my life to just get recognition, like, you know, trying to keep up with everybody else who like I said, had internships and everything. Like absolutely, I would love an interview, right? So he said, okay, let me add you on LinkedIn, and then I will talk to the rest of the partners and we will figure out a time that we can talk to you, right? So I said, okay, gave him my LinkedIn, and that was that. So the next day he messaged me, did a follow-up, and he asked about an interview for the next week. I said, okay, cool. So I had to skip class again. I told my professors everything, and they were like, okay, go, go, go. Because, like, they were also, one thing I didn't tell y'all was that, like, they also tried to get me jobs and everything. Like, one of my professors, she was not tenured, so she also worked at a company that she had been working at before she got a job as a professor, and she was working at that company as a controller. And the company was obviously being audited yearly, like you're supposed to. And so the auditors of that company had told her, like, you know, oh, we're looking for audit interns and blah blah blah. And she came to me, and like she immediately recommended me, and she told me, like, you know, what is this something you'd be interested in? They're having an internship, da da da. So my professors were like really supportive of me, like skipping class to be able to go to this interview for an actual full-time position once I graduated. So I took off class. I need water. So I took off class. I went to the interview, and I remember I had met a lot of people there. First, I had an interview with Teddy, I'm pretty sure. Then I had an interview with a few other partners and senior managers, which if you don't know anything about like the accounting world, senior managers are people that are like one step below partner. Like it's junior or staff, which is what I was interviewing for, then it's senior, then it's manager, then it's senior manager, and then it's partner. So I was doing an interview with, don't look at me, Jaylee's over here. I was doing an interview with a lot of them, right? And so after I did an interview with all of them, Teddy wanted me to do like a lunch with him and one of his favorite seniors. And then I wouldn't call the other guy his favorite staff, because he was honestly a hot fucking mess. He was a hot fucking mess. But he was like, he was just another staff, right? So we had like a lunch with them, and like I could tell that it was kind of borderline unprofessional, because we were having a talk about, like, you know, just random things, and Teddy had gotten up to go to the restroom. And I remember so the girl, we'll call her Alabama. She was, yeah, we'll call her Alabama. And the other guy, we'll call him Vino. So Vino is from like a country in the Middle East that, like, unfortunately America kind of had a hand in his coup or whatever. And he was talking about how like he and his mom had moved to America, and he was just like, you know, basically talking about like Trump and everything. And they started like, Alabama is a Trump supporter. She's a conservative, but she's a Trump supporter. Vino is absolutely none of that, like absolutely none of that. He's a liberal, like all the way. And they were like going back and forth. And so like when Teddy came back to the table, he's like, oh, what are y'all talking about? And they were like, oh, we're talking about blah blah blah, like Trump doing this, that, and the third. And he was like, oh guys, let's not talk about that during a business lunch, you know. Let's not have any of that. And so he had to change the subject, and he was like, what was I talking about before I went to the restroom? And I had mentioned, like, I brought back up what he was talking about, and he was like, you're right. And he was like, you're a good listener. And I was like, you know, because like most of the time I just sit there quietly and I'll just like listen to everybody's conversations. And so I feel like that was like the turning point of me, of like that whole interaction. And so on the way home, I was offered a position at Animal Farm. And I was so excited, y'all. I was so excited. I could not believe it, because it was just like, God was just like lining everything up for me. Like they were just like, you did what you were supposed to do, so let me hold firm to my part of the deal and do what I was supposed to do for you. So not only did I get the scholarship, but I got the job waiting for me outside of college. And it was just like, things are lining up for me, right? So I went through the rest of my schooling or whatever, and obviously I accepted the position, and I was just waiting for September to come around so that I could start the job. So September came around, we went to a training in Dallas, and it was an intensive training. It wasn't like, it was a lot in the sense of like we had to wake up at 7 in the morning, 6 in the morning, and I wasn't used to that. On top of that, we would have to be there by 8, as in like at 8 a.m. sharp, the instruction started. Whereas like in a lot of like, you know, corporate world, like you don't have to be there till 9. We had to be there at 8 o'clock sharp, or actually before then, if we wanted breakfast. So we would actually have to be there like 7:30, which meant that I would have to wake up at 6:30. And I wasn't used to that. Now I wake up at 6 in the morning, no problem. 6:30 is like late for me to wake up. But like before then, I was waking up at 6. That doesn't mean that I was late. That doesn't mean I was late, because I was getting there on time, but it was like I was exhausted getting there, because not only were we waking up and having to get there, but then also we would be there that entire time, and then we would have to we were expected to have dinner with them, and they would not get us back to our hotel until like 11 at night, and I'm having to go to sleep, wake up at 6, and like still have like the mental capacity to like soak in all of this knowledge or whatever, right? So I remember one of the times, I think it was like the last day I was there, I was like literally leaning my head on my arms, because I was just like, I am so fucking exhausted, but I'm listening. Like I'm literally engaging in the conversation. I'm like listening, I'm looking at them, but like my head is like leaned on my hands like that, right? It's gonna come up later. So fast forward later on that night, this was like the last night that I was there. We had a dinner with all of like the accounting partners that were in the Dallas office. And I remember we were like talking about, I don't even remember what it was. There was this accounting partner, and he was talking about this video that he saw of this guy who got a birthday cake from his mom, and he liked one team, and I think the team's colors were like green or something. And his mom played a prank on him and got him a cake where the colors were purple, and the purple was like its rival team or whatever, and like that was supposed to be like, you know, the whole prank or whatever. And he saw the cake and he smashed it. And so the partner had like, he was like sitting next to me, and he was telling me about it, and he was like, you know, have you seen the video, have you seen it? And I was like, no. And so it's like this old white guy, he's maybe like 47, like something like that. Dad rides his bike like an actual bicycle, like every morning type shit. And so he shows me, and me and him are watching together, and like when the guy smashes the cake, I'm like, oh. And he was like, right, and he like started laughing, and he elbowed me and like pushed me, and, and like I remember everybody across the table was like, because they're like, oh my god, he can't be doing that. But like me and him are cracking the fuck up, because we're both like lit at this point, right? Like we got some alcohol in us, we over here cracking jokes together and shit. And so it was just a good time, right? So fast forward, I go back to the Houston office, and it is a slow start, especially because I didn't have any type of experience in audit or whatever. I never did like tie outs. If you don't know what tie outs is, it's basically like, if you've never seen a financial audit report for a company before, those shits are long. Would have to do tie out. So like a tie out is basically like when you get the financial reports and you have to read the entire thing front and back, and make sure that there are no grammar errors, make sure that there are no mathematical errors, like make sure that all the numbers add up. And there are so many numbers on that thing, and you have to add every single number up on a calculator and make sure that it all ties together, and make sure that it ties together like that, like not only vertical but horizontally. It is a lot. And so for like a private company, it's like not that much. It's like 14 pages. You can do 14 pages in like 2 hours, maybe. I was put on a team for a public audit for a bank. And so the tie out, the financial report was like, I think 178 pages. 178 pages, and I had to add all of those. And like, it's not even just like the tables that you see of the numbers, but like even when they list out like in the paragraphs, like, oh yeah, assets were like let's say 1,573,462, you had to go and write, you had to tie that back to one of the pages in the report, and you had to do that for every single number. Like it was a lot, right? And I never had internship experience before, so I'm having to like learn all of this for the first time. And they're used to talking to people that have experience doing this, because that's all you do in your internships at a public accounting firm is tie outs. I'm doing that, and I'm trying to connect with my coworkers, but at the same time, I'm also of the mind where I just don't really talk to my coworkers like that, because I could just feel that I'm not really connecting with them. They're the type of coworkers where like they're a family, and like when I say they're a family, I mean like, oh bitch, they're a family. Like there were two of my coworkers who actually lived together. Then there was another coworker who was one of those roommates' girlfriend. Okay. You don't want your water? No. But yeah, so two of the coworkers in my department lived together. They were roommates. Both of them had the same name, so we'll call both of them Justin. So Justin and Justin lived together, and then one of Justin's girlfriends was also in our department, and then she had a roommate who was in tax, and then she also had a best friend who was also in our department. That's how intertwined our department was. And then another guy who was, so one of the Justins, the Justin that had the girlfriend, right? This Justin was my senior. And then we had a second senior who was on his way to being manager, who had a girlfriend in a different department in our company, in our office actually. She worked in the Houston office. So it was like, there was so much intermingling going on. And it was like, when they said they were a family, they meant they were a family, right? And I was just not trying to be a part of that. I wanted so badly to just have a job where I could come, do what I need to do, and then go home. I didn't want to have to like be friends with these people. I didn't want them to know like the ins and outs of my life, because I feel like I knew entirely too much of these people's like personal lives. Like I shouldn't even know who your significant other is. And so the fact that like I can talk to your significant other, like, and everybody knows that your significant other is literally sitting across the room from you, and like it's just, I don't want to do all that, right? I don't want nobody to know my business like that, right? I was just kind of not really trying to be as enmeshed with them as everybody else was, right? So they didn't really take kindly to that. If you've ever been in like one of those situations where they say like, we're a family over here, in those type of like work environments, it's usually like the work culture is really toxic, because if you don't get right, you get left. You know what I mean? And so everybody just kind of looks down on you for not really being close to them, and like not really wanting to be a part of the group. There was one time, right? I came in and we were working at the bank. And if you guys don't know, like in audits, there are times where you have to work at the client's office, at the client's location, because it's easier to just go into their office and be like, hey, we need X, Y, and Z. Can you get us those documents like right now? Like we'll stand here and watch you print them, and then we can have them in our hand instead of waiting for you to email us back or something, right? We were working at the bank doing their year-end audit, but it was like before they closed their books. We were doing it for like the Q4. We were at the bank doing October through December's paperwork, because we could get a jump start on that, so that we could minimize all the work that we'd have to do whenever January through March came around, right? I loved working at the bank, because the bank was literally like a 20-minute drive from my apartment, whereas the office, like the actual office where we actually worked at, you know, was like a 55-minute drive from my apartment. No bullshit. It was so far from my apartment, and they would get upset with me for coming in at like 9. Like I would get there at 9 on the dot. At most I would get there at 9:05, and they told us we just had to be there at like 9. And so in my mind, 9:05 is not like incredibly late. Like I'm walking in the office at 9:05. But for them, it was untimely. And I'm like, I can't get here earlier than that. I'm so sorry. I'm not waking up at 5 in the morning. I'm just not doing it. I'm not waking up at 5 in the morning so that I can get here before 8:30 just for optics. And then it was also a thing of like, I wouldn't get home until like sometimes like 6:45 usually, because I wasn't allowed to leave my office until at least 5:15 because of optics. Whose optics? Because there's nobody in the fucking office except my other coworkers who all know that I live a fucking hour away from the office. I don't know, but like it was one of those like one of those office politics bullshit where you just have to like stay there for optics, and it's like nobody fucking cares except y'all. And also, for context, if you're about to be in the comments like, oh well, that's normal, like that's office culture and like, you know, blah blah blah, no, the only reason why you think that is because you have been conditioned to accept toxic office culture, because in reality the job that I work now does not give a shit about what time I leave. They do not care. I leave at 4 o'clock on the dot every single day, and I live 12 minutes from my fucking job. Nobody says shit. There are times where I'll leave at 3:30 just because I don't have shit to do for the rest of the day, and I'm not gonna piss 30 minutes away on my laptop in the office when I could just go home. I will walk past my manager to the elevators at 3:30, and he'll be like, oh, bye, Darian, have a good day. I'm like, yeah, you too. And every single annual review, he gives me a shining review because he doesn't give a fuck about what time I leave. So no, it is not just normal work culture and optics bullshit. Optics bullshit is just toxic work culture that you have been conditioned to accept, and I will not accept it. The only reason y'all care is because y'all feel like y'all should care. But it's just like, it was so fucking toxic there that like they would get upset if I tried to leave before 5:15, even though I didn't have anything to do. Even if I didn't have shit to do, and they would tell me, oh, well, it's 5 anyway, so there's no point of us giving you any more work. Or they would even say, oh, it's 4:45 anyway, there's no point of us giving you any work because it's almost the end of the day. I still couldn't leave until 5:15. I would have to wait 30 minutes and find something to do, because God forbid I just sit there and be on my phone for 30 minutes because nobody gave me work, or you know, God forbid I go and like watch YouTube on my computer because nobody gave me work. I would have to find something to do for those 30 minutes, and they would straight up tell me find something to do for those 30 minutes, even though they didn't give me shit to do. And an audit, it's not the same thing as like how I am now in industry, where like I can always find something to do because I know what I'm supposed to be doing. In audit, you never know what you're supposed to be doing because you're always being delegated tasks. So they would literally just make me sit there for 30 minutes until 5:15 or 5:30, depending on their mood, before I could go home for the day. And so I was so happy when we started working at the bank because I was only 20 minutes away from my house. So I remember one time at the bank was fucking freezing, y'all. It was freezing. It was so cold in there. I remember one time, it was like lunchtime or whatever, right? I wanted to eat, like we had like our own little room, and the room was hot in there, but like I would prefer being warm than being fucking freezing and shivering. So I told my senior, like, yeah, like he was like, oh, I'm about to go to lunch. Like, are you about to go to lunch? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna just eat in here, right? So he was like, okay. So he goes to lunch. I'm eating my lunch in the room or whatever, and he comes back from lunch and he's sitting down and he's working. I'm not working yet. My laptop is clearly closed, it's set aside, my monitor is put down and everything, and I have my headphones in and I'm like watching something on my phone while I'm eating still. I get done, I throw it away. That is what it is, right? I continue working after that. Fast forward, we had like a team building event where we had a pickleball tournament. And once again, I don't really be talking to my coworkers like that. Even now, still to this day, like I will talk to them, but I don't, if it requires me to be at work outside of work hours, or if we get to leave work early to go to that event, I'm not going to volunteer anything that makes me stay for longer than what my work hours are supposed to be. With the pickleball tournament, we got to leave early because the pickleball tournament started at 2, and I think it was in 2nd ward or 3rd ward. And so we had to go over to Third Ward to do like the pickleball tournament or whatever. And so my senior, he was like, yeah, no, you can like just eat lunch and then after that go to the pickleball tournament. I was like, okay, cool. I didn't sign up to do the pickleball tournament, but I knew that I had to show face before I could just be off for the day. So I went to the pickleball tournament, and I think third ward or second ward. I can't remember which one, but one of the wards. It's like literally maybe 25 minutes from my place, right? So I was like, okay, cool. So I went from the bank to the pickleball tournament. And I came in, I said hi to Justin's girlfriend, right? And Alabama. And I think Justin's girlfriend was also with her other best friend that worked in the department. And I was like, oh hey y'all, it's nice seeing y'all. They're like, hey. And so I get like a Topo Chico or something. I go sit down at a table and I'm literally just sitting there and I'm watching everybody like talk and everything, and like I can see like how it can come off as like being, uppity, but it was literally just like social anxiety was whooping my ass and I just could not bring myself to go and like speak to anybody, right? So this guy comes and sits next to me, and we will call him Dev. Dev comes and sits next to me, and he's like this Indian guy. He's so cute. He is so, so, so cute. And but this was like when I was with SB, so I wasn't really like, looking at her, but I was just like, he is so fucking cute, right? And I could tell that he's like around my age. And he comes and sits next to me, and he starts just sparking up conversation with me, asking me if I worked at Animal Farm. I'm telling him yeah, and I'm asking like, do you work there? And he was like, yeah, you actually pass by me all the time. He works in a different department. He works in oil and gas, which is like where they're kind of like a consulting part of the department, in terms of like basically where they lend out their services to other companies that may be too small to be able to afford their own personal accounting team. So like they would have somebody in that department that does AP, accounts payable, and somebody that does accounts receivable, somebody that does like the payroll or whatever, and they just lend their services out to multiple different oil and gas companies. And so they're basically like industry, which is what I work now, but instead of like, audit, where it's client based, but they still work for an accounting firm, right? So they still have to like log their hours and shit. He worked for oil and gas. So I was like, oh, it's nice to meet you. He and I are just having a conversation. It's a nice conversation. And next thing you know, I look up, time has passed. It's been like, I think an hour or whatever. And the pickleball tournament is starting. He's part of the pickleball tournament. And I was like, oh, I think they're like doing the instructions or whatever. And he was like, oh shit. Okay, well, it was nice meeting you. If you ever like want to get lunch or something, like, you can hit me up, da, da, da. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, it was nice meeting you too, blah, blah, blah. And he leaves and he goes, listens to the pickleball tournament or the pickleball instructor or whatever, right? Fast forward, at the bank, I'm working with Justin and this other senior, the other senior who's like borderline manager, we'll call him Kroger, because why not? While I'm sitting there with them, Teddy messages me, right? And he says, hey, I would like to get breakfast with you and have a conversation with you and like just talk about your progress here. Does this day work for you? Does this time work for you? Da, da, da. And like, obviously I can't say no to the partner. So I'm like, yeah, that works, right? The day comes around for the breakfast, and I'm nervous because I'm like, what is he about to talk to me about? Like, I really can't figure it out. And like, I'm thinking like, am I not satisfactory with my work? Like, is he gonna be upset with me about my work? Are they complaining about my work? Like, what's going on? Like, I just keep thinking about like the quality of my work, right? I have breakfast with Teddy. He tells me like, so I have been getting some complaints from your seniors about you being on your phone a lot. I'm like, being on my phone a lot? And he was like, yeah, like I've been getting complaints about you listening to music or like using your headphones at the client's office. And I'm like, really? And he was like, yeah. Because, side note, at the clients, you're not supposed to use your headphones when you're working, because even though the clients don't give a fuck when they really just don't give a fuck. You can walk into their office and they will have their headphones and shit. When the auditors come up to me at my job now, my headphones be in, I'll be watching Netflix on my phone. They don't give a shit, you know? But like, for some reason, it's just like all head optics of like optics, you know, you don't want them to come in and they see you using your headphones or some shit. Nobody really gives a fuck, but professionalism's sake, they don't want you using your headphones. So I'm like, oh, well, the only thing that I can think of when that would have been happening was when I was at lunch. And he was like, you were at lunch? And I was like, yeah, it's really cold. Like, it's fucking free. And like, me and Teddy, like, Teddy has a foul mouth as well. So like, me and Teddy, we don't care about cussing with each other. We don't care about cussing with each other. So I was like, it's fucking freezing in the bank. So I don't go and sit out in like the lunchroom with everybody else. I sit in like the little office space. And I will very clearly like have my laptop closed, have like my monitor down and everything so that nobody thinks I'm working, and I'll just have my headphones in while I'm eating. And he was like, okay, that makes sense. Also, something I forgot to mention was that when Justin told Teddy, because it was Justin that told Teddy about me using my headphones, when he told Teddy about that, he also lied and told Teddy that he had reprimanded me and told me like, hey, you're not supposed to be doing that. You're not supposed to be having your headphones in while you're working. He said that I ignored him and continued using my headphones anyway. You just made that up. And so when Teddy brought that up to me, I was like, no, that did not happen. He did not say anything to me about my headphone use. And the reason why he didn't was because I was using them at lunch, not during work. And Teddy was like, okay, I kind of figured, because that doesn't sound like something you would do. So it's like, why are you lying on me, bro? Like, just weird shit. And he was like, and then I heard about you bringing your boyfriend to the pickleball tournament. And I'm like, my boyfriend? And he's like, yeah, like I heard that like some of the seniors, they saw you talking to your boyfriend at the pickleball tournament. And I was like, no. No. And I was like, they saw me talking to Dev, and Dev works in oil and gas at our company. I was like, he actually sits right in front of your office, because he does. Like, if you walked out of Teddy's office and literally walked a straight line, you would pass by Dev's cubicle. So I was like, no, like, we actually work with Dev. Dev is part of our company. They just never have seen Dev because they don't pay attention to him. But he's a coworker of ours. That's not my boyfriend. Especially because the thing that blew my mind is that my coworkers knew that my boyfriend was white, because I told them how like how SB was like French and Greek, and like he spoke all these languages, blah blah blah. So they knew that SB was white. So why, when they saw me talking to an Indian man, they're telling the partner that I brought my boyfriend to the pickleball tournament? That makes no fucking sense. That makes no fucking sense. And they were being messy as fuck. So I was like, no, I was talking to a coworker, Dev. You can literally go meet him when you walk out of your office if you want to. Like, I would never bring my boyfriend to the pickleball tournament. And then he was like, and then you were being unprofessional because you were like leaning your head like on your hands. And I'm like, are we really going to get into semantics of how my body, like, and I get it, body language is important, but it's like, my God, I'm being policed down to how I have my head, down to how I hold my head. Are you fucking serious? Like, it was just like, that was my rude awakening of like, oh, I can't work here for long. I can't work here for long because y'all are not right. What do you mean? I can't even hold my head like this while somebody's talking. I have to be like, it's just like, wow, y'all are, because anyway. And like, I know for some people this sounds like, you know, like, well, duh, but like in my current company, they don't give a shit. They don't care. And I don't know if it's because it's like European brand or whatever, but like they don't care about any like optics or anything. They just care about the quality of your work, and it shows because they don't trip about anything that I fucking do. Because anytime like bonus questions come around and like annual performance come around, they're always talking to the CFOs, telling them how amazing I am. And it's just like, and I have not changed my behavior at all. I'm still exactly how I am, and they're always talking about how amazing I am at my job. So it's like, no, it was literally just micromanaging. That's what the fuck it was at this job, right? I knew that the only person that could have said anything about my earplug use or my earphone use at the bank or at the client was Justin. And so when I came back in later on that day, or like, you know, after the breakfast or whatever, Justin was like, oh, how did it go? And I was like, oh, it was cool. Me and Teddy just had like a regular conversation and blah, 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 right? So he was like, okay. The client was doing like some type of construction, renovation or whatever in their office. And so right next to ours, I don't know if they were putting up like a new security system or something, but right outside of the office space that they gave us, it was like loud. Like it was loud drilling or whatever. And it was like, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of distracting or whatever. It was kind of hard to do your work, but like you had to figure out how to tune it out because you can't have your earphones in while you're working at the client. Tell me why I'm over here working, right? And since I literally that day had just gotten reprimanded by Teddy about using my headphones. Tell me why Justin puts in both of his AirPods and blasts it so loud that I can hear Young Thug coming out of his fucking headphones. I'm like, are you fucking serious? You snitched on me to Teddy about me using my headphones while I'm on lunch? And he was actually working, y'all. Like, he was doing his work. It was like fucking 10 in the morning, and he's doing his work, and he has his AirPods blasting Young Thug so loud that I can fucking hear it. But God forbid I use my headphones on my fucking lunch break, you twat. I was so mad, and I was just like, this is actual bullshit. So fast forward, people just keep like kind of picking with me, and it's I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of like getting to me a lot, because it's like one of those things where it was like, it doesn't matter how well I do something, I always feel like they're talking about me and they're like, they don't like me, right? This was around January, and we got interns. I started in September. The conversation happened, I think, like November, and then we had interns come in January. So there was an intern we will call Desmond. He's a white man, but we'll call him Desmond, right? So Desmond was like what Maya Angelou would call po white trash, okay? He was gutter, okay? And he was like one of those like white people where like his mama had like multiple baby daddies. He lived in a trailer. Like, he was like gutter, okay? But he was cool as fuck. He was funny as fuck. He was just really down to earth, right? And he had a crush on me, but I was paying it dust. Cause it was just like, the man was hideous. He was hideous, but he was so fucking enjoyable to talk to, right? Me and Desmond, he and I would like just have like conversations back and forth, and I'd be like, bro, shut up, go back to bumfuck Texas and quit talking to me. And he'd be like, you mean bumfuck? And I'm like, bro, shut up. Like, we would just have conversations like that, right? Kroger did not like him. Nobody in the office really liked him outside of like the other interns and the other staff, because he was just cool as shit. But like, they didn't like that he wasn't like polos and like khaki pants and like going and like doing golf with them. Like, they didn't like that shit. They wanted him to be like very straight edge, but he was very like, I'm gonna bring my personality to this company. And like, he came from Dallas, like from the main office where he did like wealth management, which is kind of like financial advisory a little bit. And he worked there for a while he was doing his degree, and then they offered him an audit internship at our office. The people in our office that were already established didn't really like him. The higher ups didn't really like him, like the seniors and above didn't really like him. And I don't know if it's because they felt like he was a liability or what, because he was always hitting on everybody. He didn't really hit on like the seniors, but he hit on the other interns and then the staff. He was just like one of those people. Like he was a little bit older. He was like 28, and I'm like, he was like 28 and I was like, what, 24 at the time. But it's like one of those things where like you just get used to ignoring them or whatever. So it didn't really bother me that he was doing that. I was just like, look, Desmond, it's not gonna happen. He'd be like, all right, I gotta try, right? I'm like, no, you don't gotta try, but like, you know, that's you, right? So one day, me and Desmond are sitting in the office, and he and I are just talking or whatever. And he was like, he always had to eat, because I think he would like work out or whatever, because he used to work in construction. So like whenever he started working in construction, he had to keep up with his muscles, so he would work out a lot. So he would eat breakfast in the morning before he came to work, and then he would eat like a pre-lunch, and then he would eat like a post-lunch, because we were there for 12 hours. So he wouldn't really eat exactly at 12, because he was like, I can't only eat once a day in the 12 hours that I'm fucking here. Like I need to eat a little bit. So he had 8 at 10, and then Kroger's truck was messing up, so he needed to go get it checked out at like at like some dealership or some like garage or something near the bank. Kroger was horrible at delegating tasks. So Desmond kept begging him like, hey, I need something to do. I literally have just been sitting here. I need something to do. And he was like, it's hard enough for me to find something for Darian to do as it is. I can't find something for you to do, which is crazy that he couldn't find something for Desmond to do, because it's literally just me and Kroger working on a public bank. What do you mean that you can't find something for Desmond to do? It's me and you working on a entity that has over $1 trillion, over $1 trillion of revenue. What do you mean you can't find something for Desmond to do? He had Desmond just sitting there the entire day, right? Just like usual. He would always have him just sitting there not really knowing what to do. So Desmond's sitting there, and he was like, basically Kroger left, right? He didn't say anything to anybody. He just left to go get his truck checked out. And he told Desmond like, yeah, I'm about to go get my truck checked out. So Desmond was like, okay. So Kroger leaves, and Desmond comes out to me, because at this point I'm on lunch as well, and I'm sitting out in the lunchroom and I'm eating, and Desmond was like, I don't know what to do. He just left. I don't have no work to do. I've already eaten lunch, da da da. And I was like, I don't know, just chill. Like literally just vibe, twin. Just vibe. You are not just vibing, just vibe. So I'm like, just chill out, you know? So he was like, okay. So Desmond goes out to his truck, and he just like sits in his truck, leans his seat back, and listens to music, right? So I finish my lunch after an hour. I come back in. Kroger's still not there. Kroger doesn't come back until an hour and a half after his lunch. So he comes back, and Desmond sees Kroger pulling up, and so literally like he, you know, comes back in or whatever, and he comes back in 2 minutes after Kroger. And I don't know if Kroger had gotten some bad news about his truck or whatever, but he looked at Desmond. He was like, and where were you? And Desmond was like, oh, I was like, you know, sitting out in my truck waiting for you to come back, and da da da. Tell me why Kroger said, no, you don't go sit out in your truck. You sit here. You wait here for me to give you something. You don't go out to your truck. And Desmond was like, oh, all right, you ain't gotta tell me that twice. Like, I got you. You good, big dog. I got you. So he goes and sits down. He's just like, and I'm like, and Kroger gets up and he walks back out. And I was like, I looked at Desmond. I was like, he's tweaking. And he was like, no, like for real, because I don't know what the fuck I did. Like what am I supposed to do? What am I, like, you didn't give me no type of work, no nothing. What the fuck am I supposed to do in this situation? I was like, nothing. Fast forward, we had like they used to bring around a bar cart, right? And I was like, they would bring around a bar cart like once every month or whatever during busy season. So I'm in there and I'm drinking, and I'm talking to one of the other staff, and I'm talking to Desmond. And there's another girl, we'll call her Laura. I hope I never called anybody Laura. We'll call her Laura. So there's this girl named Laura that's sitting with me and Desmond, and Laura is like cool with Desmond or whatever. And we're talking, and Desmond goes, "Oh, I see you got your nails done." And I was like, "Bro, this bitch had me fucked up." And I started talking to him, and like me and Desmond, like we have that like type of banter. So he's like, you know, listening or whatever. And Laura was like, "Wait a minute, wait a minute." I was like, "Huh?" She was like, "I like you." Now she's talking about this bitch got you fucked up. Wait a minute, I like you. I was like, "Bro, you don't understand. This bitch had me so fucked up. She had me so bent." So me and her like going back and forth or whatever, just talking about it. And long story short, she became my bitch. Okay, she became a bitch. Okay, so fast forward, she and I like start going to lunch and everything, and like, you know, we start sitting next to each other and like talking the whole time while we're working, whenever we are in the office. And it's just like a good time, right? I remember one time she told me about a situation where there was another senior, and he was also friends with like the little friend group that I was telling you all about. And he had asked her, "What do you think about so-and-so?" Which was another intern in the group. And she was like, "Oh, you know, I don't really talk to her. Like, I don't think much of her." She was like, "You know, I think she's a little like odd, but like, you know, it is what it is. That's just her." And he was like, "Right, she's so fucking weird. And like, she's always like, me and everybody else in the group chat, we be talking about how she be like taking all those pills and da da da." Mind you, like the girl be having seizures and shit. Like she has to take all the pills that she takes. And like, but apparently they had a group chat with everybody that was like in the little group that I told y'all about, and they just be talking shit about people in the office. After he had like a whole like spill session about that intern, he asked, "Okay, well, so how do you feel about Darian?" Because he saw Laura and me speaking. And she was like, "Oh, I think Darian is so fucking cool. Like she's so down to earth. Like she's so funny. Like I'm so happy that I've like been getting to know her and like da 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 da." And he was like, "Oh, right, yeah. Maybe I just need to get to know her better." Excuse me. And like I remember she was telling me this, and she was like, "I'm not gonna lie, I like genuinely think that he wanted to talk more shit about you, but then when he realized that I like actually enjoyed you, he was like, oh, okay, let me clean up my act." My seniors started getting real annoyed with me because I finally made a friend, and they were pissed off that it wasn't somebody that was in their group. Because Laura, she actually did work in the company, even though she was an intern of the audit department. She actually worked in oil and gas before that. And the manager of oil and gas, who really liked her, got her an internship at audit, in the audit department, and said like, "You know, I don't want to like limit your growth abilities, so if you want to go to audit and do an internship, I like absolutely am rooting for you." So that's how she ended up getting an internship in audit, and decided she didn't like audit. Me and her, we would always go to lunch. We ended up recruiting this other guy. His name, I don't know, he doesn't need a name, but he was a hotep. We recruited him, and he would go to lunch with us sometimes, and he was cool as fuck. Laura, in case you guys need to know, Laura's Mexican. I'm like sitting at work or whatever, and it was like after the interns left or whatever, and Laura went back to oil and gas. After that, she and I started sitting together. We found like a kind of like a middle ground where I wasn't too far away from everybody, because they would get mad if I would try to sit away from them, because sometimes I hated sitting by them, because it was just like, I literally feel like I'm sitting here and being judged the entire fucking time. So sometimes I try to sit in an area of the office where literally nobody was. Like they had just this big ass area of cubicles where there was nobody sat there at all whatsoever. And so I would go and like try and sit over there, and then they would like go and literally like whine to the to the partner, and like bitch and moan and complain about how I'm like sitting over there, and I'd have to sit next to them the next day or whatever, right? So I finally found like a common ground where I was able to sit a little bit of ways away from them, and sit by Laura, because she sat in oil and gas, which I said was in front of the partner's office. So it's not like I was completely removed from everybody, because the partner could see me if he just looked up. So it was like she and I were sitting right there, and they hated it, but there was nothing they could say about it, because the partner would be like, "Well, she's sitting by y'all. Like, don't be fucking lazy, just get," because there were times where like all of the desks would be filled up where like the audit team sat, and so I would have to sit there anyway. And so it was just like, why don't I just make this my desk, and I don't have to always change desks or whatever, and I could just sit next to my homegirl who's in oil and gas and have a friend next to me, like y'all have y'all's friends next to you, but then I'm also not being snitched on for sitting like, you know, eons away from y'all, right? So basically there was like one time where the manager of the bank audit, he lived in Austin, so he wasn't in the Houston office. He liked me. Like whenever like he would be placed, it was so strange. Like the higher ups, people above the seniors, all liked me. All the managers liked me, all the partners liked me, but they would always act like it was out of their hands when the seniors didn't like me. The people that were below them didn't like me. And so the manager of that audit, he liked me. And so whenever he would be in the office, like at the, oh, sorry, y'all, battery died. But whenever we would be at the bank, and like he would come all the way from Austin to Houston to be with us at the bank, he really enjoyed me, and like we would like, you know, be talking and everything. And so I remember one time we had a meeting, and the manager, like I said, he lived in Austin, so he would do the meeting from his office in Austin. One day we had a meeting, and I had forgotten my headphones that they had given out to us. I had forgotten them at home, and so I had to go into like a private office, like a meeting room that wasn't occupied, so that I could have a conversation with them, actually talk to them or whatever, and listen to what they were saying. I got up and I went to like one of the meeting rooms or whatever, and I was in the call. The manager was like, you know, okay, is everybody on here? And Kroger was like, yeah. And he was like, Darian, and then he looked up, and like the thing is, Kroger's sat somewhere where like if he stood up he could see the entire office, right? So he stood up and he was like, Darian was right there. I don't know where she is. I don't know where the fuck she went. She was literally just right there. She's always getting up. And I was like, Kroger, I'm in meeting, let's just say the meeting room was called Australia. I was like, Kroger, I'm in Australia, the meeting room or whatever. I didn't have my headphones. I had to come in here so that I wouldn't disrupt everybody else's like work or whatever. But I'm in the meeting, and like the manager was like, yeah, no, I see Darian. She's in the meeting right here. Like and he was like, hey, Darian, how are you? And I was like, I'm good. And then that's when Kroger chilled out, and he was like, oh, okay, all right. And he sat back down. And so we had the meeting or whatever, and like, you know, it was a regular meeting. It was good or whatever. And after that, I had to use the bathroom. The meeting room that I was in was right here. You could go out this door to go to the bathroom, or you can go over here to go to the rest of the office where we were. So I was like, I might as well just leave my laptop right here because I know nobody's going to take it, and go to the bathroom. And then when I come back through this door, come back, get my laptop, and go sit down. I went to the bathroom, and I had Teams on my phone at this time. So Kroger messages me on Teams, and he goes, you can come back now, ...
Let me explain something to you, bitch.
While I'm sitting on the toilet. And I was like, I literally texted him back, I said, I know. Because it was just like, and like, after I got done using the bathroom, I came, sat my laptop down, and I literally walked back out, because it was just like, at that point, it was like, I'm literally being micromanaged. Like, I can't even go to the bathroom without you breathing down my fucking neck. I can't have lunch without you breathing down my neck. I can't talk to another coworker without y'all breathing down my neck. I can't go to another meeting room with my headphones without y'all breathing down my neck and getting upset with me. Like, what the fuck can I do? And so I literally went to like one of like the other rooms, and I called SB, and I just literally started bawling on the phone to him. And I was like, bro, these bitches got me so fucked up. Like, I just don't understand what the fuck I do to them to make them so fucking mad at me all the time, to be breathing down my neck like this, to be, you know, policing me like this. Like, I'm doing what the fuck I need to do. Nobody ever complains about my work. They complain about me going to the fucking bathroom. They complain about me having my fucking headphones, and they complain about me talking to people. What the fuck am I supposed to do, bro? Like, even when I tried to play their game and I tried to talk to my other coworkers and be friends with my other coworkers, they still have a fucking problem because it's not them. What am I supposed to do at this point? And he was like, you know, supporting me, and he was just like, it's okay, like, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, we can go get something to eat after you get home. Like, you know, I'm so sorry you're going through this. And he was like, don't let them break you. Like, that's what they're trying to do. And you know, that's what they're trying to do. And like, just don't let them get to you. Don't let them get to you. And I'm like, bro, it's hard to not let them get to me when this is like half of my day. You know what I mean? Like, it's so hard to not let it get to me when I'm here from fucking 9 in the morning, but I'm really waking up, dedicating from 6 in the morning till 6 in the afternoon, dedicating my life to them every single fucking day for 5 days a week. Like, and then sometimes on Saturdays I have to go in as well, and they get mad when I leave at 2, when they said we could leave at 2 on Saturdays. Like, it's so much. It's so hard to not let them beat me down and get to me when I'm here 5 days a week, 12 hours a day. You know what I mean? Fast forward, annual reviews come up when our bonuses and our raises are being discussed. I'm thinking that we're about to go to lunch, right? Because everybody else has a lunch. So it's my lunchtime, and I get up, and I don't bring my notebook with me because I'm like, we're about to go to lunch. I get up, and I'm like following Teddy, and we go into a meeting room. And I walk into the meeting room, and there's a manager there. It's a black manager. Teddy's white. It's a black manager, and then HR. It's a woman. And I'm like,
oh no, this can't be.
what is going on here? What is this? And I basically get told that I'm being put on a PIP. And if you guys don't know what a PIP is a performance improvement plan. And they make it seem as though all you have to do is just improve the way that you are behaving in the company, improve like your quality of work and things, and then you can stay. What it really is a company starting its file of paperwork on you to show why you're being terminated. So that if you try to file a wrongful termination suit, they can hand you the file and hand the court the file that they started on you the day that they started the PIP to show why they fired you. Remember when I was in that room, I had asked them like, is there something wrong with my work? Because I never get complaints about my work. And they told me, no, your work is pretty good. Like, it's on par with what we expect for a staff. It's because you're away from your desk too much and because you're on your phone too much.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say.
And I'm like, mind you, there were times where I would look up and I would see some of the seniors literally head buried, just scrolling on TikTok. Not like their screen will literally just be their fucking homepage, like their screensaver, their wallpaper, and them just on their phone for 30 minutes straight. Nobody ever said anything. But with me, and I wouldn't even be on my phone like that, because at that point I wasn't even on TikTok. Like, I refused to use TikTok, and I refused to use Instagram. I would be on Twitter sometimes, but not like as much. So it was just like, what they called being on my phone too much was me like listening to a TV show on my phone, or listening to like a YouTube video on my phone or something. They said I was on my phone too much. All I'm doing is listening to it, but these people are literally scrolling on TikTok and Instagram reels, and they're not on their phone too much, and you're promoting them, and they're like in the running to become a manager. And so they were like, and you're away from your desk too much, because I had to pee. Literally, like, it wasn't like I would just be up and like walking around the fucking office. I would have to pee because I'm up. Like I said, I'm at work for 12 hours a day. I will wake up at 6 in the morning. I would not get home until 6, sometimes 8 p.m. I'm not lying to y'all. Sometimes 8:30 p.m. I would not get home until then. And so it's like I'm literally drinking coffee. I don't even like coffee. Coffee fucks my stomach up, but I'm trying to stay awake, and I would have to use the restroom because the tea is running through me, the coffee's running through me, and I would have to use the restroom like every 30 minutes. Even still to this day, that's what I do. That's what they called me, being away from my desk too much. And they were like, so we're gonna put you on a PIP, and you're gonna have to like improve those things if you want to stay on with us as a team. That's how I knew, like, I had this impending feeling of doom. That's how I knew that my spot at the company was doomed. Because how do you improve that? How do you improve that? There's no numbers to like actually show improvement. They're not saying like, oh, you're away from your desk, like, you know, 10 times out of the day, we need you to bring it down to like a 6 or something. They didn't say that. They just said, you're away from your desk too much. What does that mean? What is too much? And so that's how I knew that it was bullshit, because if it was actually they wanted me to improve, they would have told me numbers. Just like if my work was shitty, they would have told me, we have to send your work back 7 times before you finally get it right. That would mean that in order for me to get it right, I have to start making sure that I get it sent back like maybe 3 times or 2 times. I literally had like a bout of depression, because it was just like, it was the first time that I ever was like officially not fired, because I haven't gotten fired from a job just yet, thankfully. Knock on wood. Yeah, I haven't gotten fired from a job, but like that was like the closest I ever got, and I was like, I literally don't know what the fuck I did except not kiss their ass. You know what I mean? So after that bout of depression, because I literally was like crying, like bawling my eyes out, because I was just like, I don't know what the fuck I did. I don't know what I could have done better to make these people actually like me. I snapped out of it about like a week later, because I was like, okay, well girl, they about to fire you. They are about to fire you. You need to figure some shit out. You need to get the fuck gone and leave them before they fucking leave you, because you don't want a termination on your record. You don't ever want a termination on your record. You want to, bitch, I got the fuck out on your record before you get a termination on your record. So you need to find somewhere else to be, and find somewhere else to be quick. So I started talking to a bunch of recruiters and everything, and I talked to this one lady. She kept sending me jobs, and she found something at this company that was literally, at this point where I live right now, it's a 12-minute drive from my house. Can I get an amen? She was like, it's 4 days a week in office and then 1 day at home. This is what they're offering, da 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 da. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I went to the interview. I interviewed for the position and everything. And I remember the CFO had asked me, he was like, so the VP of finance is worried that you're gonna get bored, because like coming from audit to industry, it's slowing down at the pace. Like industry is very slow. And he was like, she's worried that you're gonna get bored. Like, are you not worried about that? And I straight up told him, I was like, honestly, I would rather be bored. And he was tickled pink by that. He was like, okay, all right. And I got the job that day. And like literally when I found it out, I remember, I think I found out like 2 days later or whatever, because they wanted to play hard to get, but they told the recruiter already, like, yeah, we're gonna hire her. And so when I got like the actual confirmation that they were gonna hire me, I literally sent Peach a voice note of me fucking bawling my eyes out, and I was just like, God is gonna do it every time. I got a job in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks. I took myself seriously enough. In 2 weeks, I found me a new fucking job, and I said, fuck y'all bitches, I'm out. And I remember like the partner, he was like doing like a check-in with me while I was literally on the way to the interview. Because like they had to do like a bi-weekly check-in with me of like, oh, you know, let's just keep up with your progress or whatever. I like sent him the email of my resignation letter that evening. And he was like, okay, let's talk tomorrow. We spoke the next day. And I remember he like asked me the name of the company. I told him. I shouldn't have. And like he didn't do anything wrong, but just like, don't tell your old employer the name of your new company. But like I trusted him. Like I didn't think he was going to do anything bad. And like he never did anything bad. He was just like, oh, that's a good company. I've heard about them. They're a really good company. But like I remember, and I will never forget this, he sat there and he was like, so I have to ask you. And I was like, okay. And he was like, did you ever feel welcomed here? And I was like, honestly, no. I always felt like an outsider. I always felt like it was an impenetrable wall that I would just never be able to knock down with everybody, no matter how hard I tried. And it was also a thing of like, I just didn't care to try because it's work, and I don't really care to be clicked up at work. And he was like, I thought that. And he was like, I kind of feared that. This new batch of hires, like the ones that came before you, because like that whole friend group that I told y'all about, They came the year before I did, the year or two before I did. So they were all within like a 2-year span of hires, and they just like clicked the fuck up and would talk shit on anybody who like wasn't willing to kiss their ass. And so he was like, ever since I hired them, it's just been very like hard to keep people because they've always just been really clicked up together, and they never really mesh well with anybody who's not really trying to be a part of that friend group. And I was like, yeah, I can tell. You know, that's how they treated me. And he was like, I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. And I was like, that's life, man. I don't know what to tell you. And so that was that. 2 weeks. I gave him my 2 weeks notice. After that, that was my last day. Fun fact, the last day of my job at that company, SB broke up with me on the way to drop off my equipment. He broke up with me, that stupid fucking bitch. But that's not a story for right now. That's a story for later. But anyway, I gotta go. It is fucking 8:45 and I'm supposed to get dinner with Jay Lee, and we're supposed to hopefully go out. And she's in my room just like watching fucking TikToks and pretending that she doesn't hear me. Thank you so very much for watching. I appreciate you all for staying with me, for subscribing to the channel, for watching this video. Just know that I am in a much better place, a much happier place, a much more peaceful place. My job does not do any of the shit that my old job did. My manager is amazing. The VP is amazing. The CFOs are amazing. And I'm so grateful to have the job that I have now. And I'm so glad that in just 10 months, I only had to suffer public accounting for 10 months before God blessed me with something that I said from the very beginning when I very first started being an accounting major that I was going to get. I knew that I was going to be exactly in the place that I am now. I knew that I was going to be here. To everybody that is watching, that is listening, I guess the moral of the story is understand the power of manifestation. Don't ever doubt it, because it will take you far. You just have to believe in yourself, understand the vision, understand what you have to do, what you have to endure to get to where you are, and it will take you miles. It will take you to the finish line, no matter how many hiccups you experience in life. Manifest that shit, and it will come to fruition. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Hold on. Peace.
Flowing like a river, hush, baby, do